Everyone in the park froze the moment police sirens cut through the calm afternoon. Conversations died mid-sentence. Laughter vanished. Every head slowly turned. 3 officers marched forward with purpose, their voices stern, their expressions cold and unreadable. No one understood what was happening, but the scene felt wrong. But what truly stole everyone's breath was the Belgian Malinois at their side. A fully trained service dog, powerful, disciplined, muscles drawn tight, every nerve alert. His eyes were locked on a single target, an old man. He sat alone on a bench, wearing a faded military jacket, the kind only a veteran would still cherish. His hands were shaking. His eyes were filled with pain, as if he had lost everything. Then an officer shouted, "Don't move!" But the old man didn't respond. Suddenly, the lead officer pointed at him and barked an order no one expected. "Rex, attack! Take him down!" The old man froze. "I don't understand. I haven't done anything wrong." His voice trembled. The lead officer shouted again, "Rex, attack!" The old man shut his eyes. Gasps echoed across the park. Families froze. Children hid behind their parents. People whispered, "Why would the police target a tired old veteran who could barely stand?" But the real shock came a moment later. The dog didn't attack. Instead, he ran toward the old man and wrapped his body around him as if protecting someone he loved. The officers whispered in confusion. Who was this old man? Why would a trained police dog disobey a direct order? And what secret connected them? Because in that moment, everyone realized something terrifying. The dog knew the old man, and he would rather die than hurt him. But what happened next stunned the entire park. Stay till the end, because this story will leave you speechless. Before we start, make sure to hit like and subscribe. And really, I am curious. Where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The afternoon sun filtered softly through the tall oak trees, casting warm golden patches across the quiet city park. It was the kind of day where families picnicked on the grass. Children chased each other along the walking paths, and joggers moved with slow, steady breaths. Life felt calm, safe, ordinary. On a green wooden bench near the center fountain sat an old man, his back slightly hunched, his military jacket worn at the seams, the faded American flag patch barely holding on to the fabric. His silver hair peeked from beneath his cap, and deep lines creased his face, each one carved by time and sacrifice. Beside him sat a large Belgian Malinois, calm and loyal, one paw resting on the old man's knee as if keeping silent watch. The old man stroked the dog's fur with gentle, practiced movements, the kind that didn't require thought, only love. Anyone passing by would have seen nothing more than a peaceful moment between an aging veteran and his only companion. Until the sirens. They cut through the stillness like a blade. Children stopped mid-run. Joggers froze. Conversations died instantly as 3 police cruisers screeched to a halt at the curb. Doors flung open. Officers stepped out with urgency. Not the casual, routine kind, but the tense, heavy kind that made people instinctively hold their breath. At the front was Officer Harrington, broad-shouldered, jaw set tight, his eyes fixed on something or someone across the park. The old man didn't notice at first. He was too busy scratching behind his dog's ear, whispering something that made the Malinois let out a soft, content rumble. But then the atmosphere shifted. Even the dog felt it, his ears perked, his body stiffening as he stared toward the approaching officers. A mother nearby gathered her children, pulling them closer. A group of teenagers backed away from the walking path. People began murmuring, brows furrowed with confusion. Why were the police rushing into a peaceful park? Harrington raised his hand, giving a sharp signal. The officers behind him spread out, forming a wide semicircle as they moved toward the bench. "Do you see who they're going for?" Someone whispered. "Is it that old man?" Another questioned, disbelief heavy in their voice. The veteran looked up, startled by the approaching footsteps. His dog leaned closer, sensing danger, muscles tightening beneath his fur. The officer stopped just a few feet away. "Sir," Harrington called out, voice stern. "Stay exactly where you are. A hush swept over the park. The old man blinked in confusion. "Is something wrong, officer?" But Harrington didn't answer. He only gave a cold glance to the K9 handler beside him, and everything in the park felt like it was holding its breath, because whatever was about to happen next wasn't normal, and it wasn't peaceful. Officer Harrington stepped forward, each boot landing with a heavy thud that echoed through the tense silence of the park. His jaw was clenched so tightly that the muscles along his temples pulsed. Behind him, the other officers maintained their formation, hands near their holsters, eyes unblinking, expressions hardened. The old man shifted uneasily on the bench, lifting both hands slightly as a gesture of peace. "Officer, did I do something wrong?" he asked, voice trembling ever so slightly. Harrington didn't answer immediately. Instead, he circled the bench, inspecting the old man as though expecting to catch him hiding something dangerous. Rex, the police dog beside them, pulled on his leash, eyes locked on the veteran's dog. But Harrington tugged him back sharply. "Don't try anything," Harrington snapped. The old man blinked. "Anything?" "I'm just sitting here with my dog." His Belgian Malinois pressed against him protectively, watching every move the officers made. A low growl rumbled from the dog's chest, not out of aggression, but warning. "Control your animal," one officer ordered. "He is not doing anything," the veteran replied softly. "He is just nervous." Harrington finally stopped circling and stood directly in front of the old man. His shadow fell over the bench like a storm cloud. "We received a report," Harrington said, voice cold, "that someone matching your description assaulted a young man near this park an hour ago." The old man's eyes widened. "Assaulted? That is impossible. I have been here since morning." Harrington's lips twitched in irritation as if he had expected resistance. "You fit the witness description?" Older male, green jacket, accompanied by a Belgian Malinois. A gasp rippled through the few people brave enough to remain nearby. The veteran's hand instinctively tightened on his dog's collar. "Officer, there must be some mistake." "Stand up," Harrington interrupted. Fear flickered across the old man's face. Not fear of arrest, but fear of misunderstanding, fear of escalation, fear of what could happen if things went wrong. His dog stood too, positioning himself between the officers and the veteran. "Move the dog aside," Harrington barked. "I can't," the old man whispered. "He's trying to protect me." "From what?" Harrington snapped. "We are officers of the law." But even he felt the tension spiraling. Rex, the police K9, began pacing restlessly, sensing conflict. Passersby lifted their phones, recording. Whispers turned into judgment. Why were 3 armed officers surrounding an elderly man? Why were they treating him like a criminal? Harrington stepped closer, so close the old man could see his reflection in the shiny badge. "This is your last warning," Harrington said, and it was clear now. He was not interested in explanations. He was interested in control. A hush swept across the park, thick and suffocating, as the standoff deepened. Families who had not already left now stood frozen in place, unsure whether to stay or run. Rex pulled harder against his leash, sensing the aggression radiating from his handler. His ears pricked, his breathing sharp, his eyes locked onto the old man's dog. Instinct told him something was wrong, but not what. Officer Harrington took another deliberate step forward. "I said stand up," he repeated, voice colder than before. The old man slowly pushed himself up from the bench, his joints stiff, his hands raised in surrender. His Belgian Malinois stayed pressed against his leg, tail lowered, body trembling but alert, refusing to leave his side. "I am not resisting," the veteran said gently. "Please just tell me what this is really about." But Harrington was not listening. "Separate from your dog," he ordered. "I can try, but he won't." "Now!" The shout made the veteran flinch. His dog growled softly, sensing his fear. Rex responded immediately, barking sharply, pulling toward the pair. The tension snapped like a pulled wire. "Handler," Harrington snapped. "Get tight and ready." The K9 officer beside him stiffened. "Sir, with all due respect, the suspect is elderly." "We can follow the order," Harrington barked. Everything happened in slow motion. Rex sensed the command forming before the words were fully spoken. His stance changed. The air shifted. People gasped. Even birds scattered from the trees overhead. Harrington pointed directly at the old man. K9 Rex, attack. A collective scream rose from the crowd. Rex lunged forward. His paws dug into the grass, muscles coiled, eyes locked on the target. The K9 handler, startled by the suddenness of the order, stumbled but released the leash. The old man's heart jumped to his throat. His dog stepped in front of him, barking but trembling, the protective instinct overwhelming the fear. The veteran closed his eyes for a moment, accepting whatever fate was about to come. "Easy, boy. Stay with me," he whispered shakily. Mothers grabbed their children. Phones shot upward, officers tensed, ready for impact. But then Rex slowed. His ears tilted. His growl softened. Something about the old man, his scent, his presence, was familiar. Deeply familiar. Rex's run turned into a trot. The K9 lowered his head, whimpering as he approached the old man, not with aggression, but with recognition. Gasps erupted around the park as Rex stopped inches away, and instead of attacking, he gently pressed his head against the old man's trembling hand. Silence crashed over the park as Rex stood motionless in front of the old man. The officers froze, unable to process what they were witnessing. A police K9, fully trained, fiercely disciplined, had just ignored a direct attack order. Officer Harrington's face twisted in disbelief. "What are you doing, Rex?" he barked, stepping forward. "I said attack." Rex didn't move. Instead, the mighty Belgian Malinois nudged his nose into the old man's palm, letting out a low, trembling whine, one filled with emotion no one expected. The old man's hand shook as he instinctively stroked the dog's head, confusion flooding his eyes. "I don't understand," the veteran murmured. "Why are you?" The veteran's own dog, no longer growling, looked between Rex and his owner with cautious curiosity. Something powerful was happening, something deeper than simple obedience. Harrington's boots pounded onto the grass as he stormed closer. "Get that dog off him!" he shouted at the K9 handler. The handler hesitated, eyes darting nervously. "Sir, Rex's behavior might be a sign of re-A." "I don't care," Harrington snapped. He disobeyed a direct order, but Rex wasn't listening to Harrington anymore. His eyes never left the old man. A soft whimper escaped Rex's throat, a sound that didn't belong in the mouth of a hardened police dog. He pressed even closer to the veteran, circling him, sniffing him, nudging him with desperate recognition. The old man backed against the bench, overwhelmed. "Easy, easy, boy," he whispered, though he didn't know why the words came so naturally. A murmur rose from the crowd. Why isn't the dog attacking? Did he recognize him? Is that even possible? The K9 handler tried again. "Rex, return now." Rex didn't return. He positioned himself beside the old man, protecting him. People gasped. The veteran's dog stepped away, sensing that Rex meant no harm. Rex planted his paws firmly into the ground, his posture lowering into a defensive stance, not against the veteran, but against the officers. Harrington's jaw dropped. Is this some kind of joke? Rex attacked the target. Rex snapped his head toward Harrington and let out a ferocious bark, one that shook the leaves in the trees. But it wasn't aimed at the old man. It was aimed at the officer. Harrington stumbled back, stunned. "That dog just threatened me." "No, sir," the handler said cautiously. "He is protecting the old man." The veteran blinked rapidly, his throat tightening. "But why?" "I don't know this dog." Rex lowered his head again and nudged the veteran's jacket near the shoulder. Patch. The faded military insignia that had survived years of sun, rain, and memories. Rex sniffed it, nudged again, and whimpered as if pleading for the old man to remember something. The veteran stared down at the dog, breath trembling. "That can't be," he whispered. "It is impossible." But something deep inside him stirred, a memory, a bond, a missing piece. And for the first time, doubt flickered across Officer Harrington's face. This wasn't defiance. This was recognition. And whatever truth lay behind Rex's refusal, it was about to change everything. A strange stillness settled over the park. Rex remained pressed against the old man, his breaths quick and anxious, his body trembling with an emotion no K9 training had ever taught him. The veteran's hand hovered uncertainly above Rex's head as though afraid touching him might shatter the moment. Then everything shifted. The old man's fingers twitched. His knees buckled. His vision blurred at the edges like a watercolor running in the rain. "Sir," the K9 handler called out, noticing the sudden change. "Are you all right?" The old man opened his mouth, but no words came out, only a soft gasp, as if the air had been punched from his lungs. His breathing turned shallow, uneven. He clutched the edge of the bench, knuckles whitening. Rex's reaction was instant. The K9 let out a sharp, desperate bark and circled him, nudging his leg, whining loudly. He sensed something far more dangerous than the officers, something inside the man's body going terribly wrong. "Dad!" a little girl whispered from behind her mother, watching with wide eyes. "Why is the dog crying?" "I don't know," her father murmured, pulling her closer. The veteran tried to straighten himself, but his legs failed him. He stumbled forward, collapsing onto the grass with a heavy thud. Gasps erupted across the park. "Call an ambulance. Someone help him." The old man's dog barked frantically, pacing around him, tail stiff with panic. Rex joined him, pressing his body against the veteran as if trying to keep him alive through sheer will. Officer Harrington froze, the anger on his face replaced by sudden confusion. This wasn't the behavior of a criminal faking distress. This was real, raw, terrifyingly real. "Sir," the handler shouted, kneeling beside the man. "Stay with me. Can you hear me?" The old man's lips trembled. His voice came out in a broken whisper. "I can't breathe." His eyes fluttered. Rex's whine grew sharper, more urgent. He pawed gently at the man's chest, nudged his cheek, paced in circles, then barked again, this time directly at the officers, demanding help. Rex didn't move from his protective stance. His breaths came fast and uneven, nostrils flaring as he hovered above the old man's chest. Something deep inside him, a memory buried beneath years of strict training, was clawing its way back into his mind. A scent, a voice, a feeling. As the old man lay still, Rex lowered his head beside him, pressing his cheek gently against the man's shoulder patch, the faded military insignia. His whine softened, trembling with something painfully familiar. And then a memory snapped open. The world was not a peaceful park back then. It was a burning desert base overseas, sandstorms roaring, explosions cracking the sky, distant cries echoing through the chaos of war. Rex was not yet a polished police K9. He was a scared, injured young dog, barely trained, trembling behind a sandbag wall as bullets tore through the air. "Easy, boy. I've got you," a calm voice whispered. A younger version of the old man, stronger, uniform crisp, eyes sharp but gentle, knelt beside Rex. His hands were steady as he wrapped a bandage around the dog's wounded leg. Rex whimpered, afraid. The soldier smiled softly. "Hey, look at me. You are going to be okay." Another explosion rattled the ground. Rex yelped, trying to crawl away. The soldier pulled him in, shielding him with his body. "I'm right here, buddy. I am not leaving you." In that burning battlefield, surrounded by fear and death, Rex felt safe for the first time. That soldier's name was Arthur Collins. He kept Rex in his barracks that night, gave him water, cleaned his wounds. And every time the distant sound of gunfire made Rex tremble in the dark, Arthur placed his hand on the dog's head and whispered, "I am here. Nothing will happen to you." Weeks passed. Rex recovered. His training was completed, and when he was officially inducted into the military K9 unit, Arthur was there, smiling with pride and love. But war never lets anyone stay together forever. During one mission, Arthur was badly wounded. He was immediately sent back home. Rex was left behind, barking, scratching at the door, unable to understand where his person had gone. Years later, Rex was retired and transferred to a police K9 unit. New place, new handler, new commands. But that scent, that voice, that feeling never left. And today, in this park, he had found it again. The same military jacket, the same shoulder patch, the same hands that had once bandaged his wounds. Rex's memory broke open and he snapped back to the present. Arthur was still lying on the grass, breathing shallow. Rex pressed his head against the old man's chest and let out a long, heartbroken cry, a sound that said everything words never could. "I found you. I am not letting you go again." Before the ambulance arrived, the K9 handler knelt softly beside Rex and whispered, "Rex, we want to help him." "That is what you want too, isn't it?" Rex looked at the handler, then at Arthur. Then slowly, one step at a time, he moved aside, giving them room, but never leaving. The paramedics rushed in. They lifted Arthur onto a stretcher. As they moved him toward the ambulance, Rex walked beside him, every step of the way. One paramedic tried to stop him. The handler held out his hand. "Let him go. Let him stay." At the hospital, the handler checked the records. Military files were opened, and the truth came forward. Arthur Collins, retired Army sergeant, had 7 years ago saved the life of an injured K9 dog whose name was Rex, the same Rex who today could have followed Officer Harrington's order and attacked the old man. But he didn't, because some bonds are greater than training, some memories are stronger than time, and some loyalties not even death can break. Officer Harrington stood quietly for a long time. Then he slowly looked down at his badge, and for the first time, perhaps in years, his eyes became wet. "I was wrong," he said. Just those 3 words. Arthur Collins walked out of the hospital 3 weeks later, recovered. Waiting outside the door was Rex. The K9 unit had officially decided to retire Rex, and his new home with Arthur Collins. When Arthur stepped through the door, Rex came running and wrapped himself around the old man's feet, exactly the way that Soldier had once wrapped his body, around a trembling dog in a burning desert long ago. The people in the park had clapped. Someone cried. Someone laughed. And everyone learned the same lesson. Love cannot be commanded. Loyalty cannot be bought. And some bonds, time, distance, and even war cannot break.